What is going on, everyone? My name is Garen. If you are new, welcome, and for those of you who are returning, thank you so much for coming back. If any of my videos have been helpful, please hit that like and subscribe, or at least give it a thumbs up. You can even throw in a comment. But let's talk about how to pass as a masked trans guy out in society, and take my advice, okay? Because what I'm about to tell you guys is the true honesty of how to pass as more male out in society. For those of you who have been following me, I have only been on HRT for 10 months, and prior to this I have dressed and essentially looked exactly the same, give or take facial hair, for a long time now, well over 20 years. So the tips I'm about to give you works. It worked for me, and I'm certain it's gonna work for you. Again, whatever you take, great. Whatever you don't, fine. But let me be very honest with you. Since I was about the age of 5 to 6, I have dressed very tomboy-like. And you know, when you're a child, it's one of those, they can kind of tell the difference majority of the time, but sometimes it can be questionable, like, wait a minute, we're not sure. So even as a kid, I've been mistaken, and especially as an adult, I certainly have gotten misgendered so many times prior to transitioning. So the number one thing that I really think is gonna just set you apart, come in a pair, but it's gonna be your clothing and your hair. So let's talk about your clothing. Clothing, probably one of the number one things that are going to give you off that appearance out in society is if you are wearing masculine clothing. Going to the men's section, buying looser fit clothing, not something that's really tight, that shows off that curves, just something that kind of masks your appearance. And you know, I know there's also fitness tips to try to broaden your shoulder to give you a little bit more of that, you know, squarish look, especially if you do carry curves. But your clothing is a big piece of coming off as masking your appearance out in society. The other part to that, like I mentioned, is your hairstyle. Hairstyle, when you cut it short, and if you have, you know, loose fitted men's clothing, almost instantly people are just gonna mistake you, okay? Before I transitioned and before I started hormone treatment, I was misgendered at the time for a long time. I constantly had people come to me, hey sir, excuse me sir, hi sir, right? And that's just the reality of things because of my appearance. Not until I would say something is when they realize, oh shit, okay, oops, sorry, we mean ma'am. My apologies, ma'am, right? And it was kind of annoying, but that makes sense now because, you know, just me transitioning now, it's one of those, I never took offense when being called sir. If anything, I took offense as soon as they corrected themselves. I'm like, what the fuck? So anyway, not to go and derail too much on that. You got your clothing, you got your hairstyle. Those are two big key tips. The other part is interior layer of things, right? There's binding and packing. I'm gonna be 100% real with y'all. Binding, I did not have to bind. Not because I didn't have big breasts back then. I did. My fucking shit was big. It was like, I don't know, probably double D. It was plenty of fatty tissue that really gave it that extra, you know, meaty breasty look. But I did wear a compression Nike sports bra that had wide coverage on the sides and the front, so I never struggled with, you know, shit kind of popping out and really flaunting my stuff. I would wear, you know, tighter shirts, like, you know, men's shirt, not women's shirt, so it didn't give the curve appeal, and I still was able to pass with it, okay? Even just this summer, I didn't have my top surgery until July, and I was going to the pool May, June, started growing a little bit of facial hair, my voice was changing, and I was still passing as male. There's probably a small percentage of people who notice and were kind of confused by it, but really that's a small percentage, and it's probably not until they're right next to you. Now, with binding, like I said, I've never had to bind. I just use a tight compression Nike sports bra. If you guys want to know specifically which one, just let me know in the comments and I can share that with you. The other thing is packing. All right, here's where I'm gonna be, again, very honest with you, and in all my videos I'll always be honest with you guys. Packing, I don't fucking do it, okay? It's not that I don't have the dysphoria, and it's not that I don't want to, it's just a lot of the times it's uncomfortable, all right? No matter what size you go with, for me, it's just uncomfortable. It's not very comfortable. I haven't found a method that really works to my comfort level, and fingers crossed I'll just have bottom surgery next year, which I can talk to you guys more about if you have questions. But packing is so optional, and here's why. If you have the appropriate clothing, no one's gonna fucking know what's down there except you and maybe your partner. But other than that, no one's gonna know what's down there. You know, when you got jeans, no one's gonna freaking tell. Cis men's are growers, not showers, right? So you're just not going to tell unless you do the dumb shit and you're wearing tight ass tights and nothing's covering the groin area. Then yeah, it's gonna be pretty fucking obvious that you ain't got nothing down there. No bullshit down there. So again, unless that's your style of clothing, by all means do what works for you. But I don't wear tight leggings. And actually, if I did, it would be during a workout, but I would have shorts over it. So again, no one could tell. The other thing is the last part that you just can't control about trans mask out in the world, or the appearance. It is your voice and your facial hair. So not until you start HRT, and at least this is my experience, my voice was much softer before HRT. And like I said, that is what made people realize, oh, I apologize, sorry, ma'am, not sir. So your voice is something you just can't control. If you try to speak in a lower toned voice, great, it can maybe help, but not until you start hormone treatment. You're just not going to get that deeper voice that you may be looking for. So just keep that as a consideration. The other thing is facial hair. Short, pre-T, I was able to grow a really light, mustache, but nothing else, obviously nothing else. So I, once I started the testosterone, right? Once I started my HRT is when my facial hair became very prominent, started to grow in, and now I'm at the point where there's really no mix up. I can say hello, I can respond back to someone. They're not gonna get confused about them, talking to a guy. So I honestly never really experienced that I finally passed, because I've been essentially passing this entire time, up until I would say something back to somebody with a response. Hello, hey, how are you doing? If it weren't for me responding to them in words, they wouldn't have fucking known. That's just the reality. So take my advice. I know this works, like I said, because I've been doing it for years. If this was helpful to you, hit the like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you guys want any more specific details about anything I have mentioned today, or just any other video content that I've made so far. I hope this does help you, and I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks for staying tuned. Bye.